In a world where everyone's trying to win attention, validation, or affection, it's easy to forget the one thing that actually commands respect: boundaries, not manipulation, not over-explaining, not trying harder to be liked. Boundaries are the silent language of self-respect. They tell the world, without saying a word, what you stand for, what you won't tolerate, and where your values lie. And when it comes to women, boundaries aren't just attractive, they're essential. Because no matter how charming, successful, or well-dressed you are, if you don't have clear lines in place, you'll eventually be taken for granted, tested, or overlooked. Today, we're diving into 5 boundaries that instantly earn a woman's respect, not because you demand it, but because you live it. Let's get into it. One of the most underrated but powerful things a man can do is say asterisk asterisk, no asterisk asterisk, and mean it. Not with anger, not with arrogance, but with calm confidence. It's the kind of boundary that doesn't need explanation or apology. And the moment a woman sees that you're not afraid to say no, she sees a man who values himself, and that immediately earns her respect. Too often, men fall into the trap of being overly accommodating. They fear rejection or conflict, so they bend, adjust, and overextend. They say yes when they mean no. They agree to things they're not comfortable with just to keep the peace or stay liked. But what that actually communicates is neediness, insecurity, and a lack of backbone. Women don't respect a man who constantly sacrifices himself just to be accepted. They respect the man who knows where he stands and is willing to stand alone if necessary. Saying no isn't about being cold, it's about being clear. It shows that your time, your energy, your values, these things matter to you. When you set that line, you're signaling that you're not desperate, you're not easily swayed, and you don't live your life trying to please everyone. That energy is powerful, it's masculine, and it commands attention in a way that quiet compliance never will. Whether it's declining a last-minute plan that disrespects your schedule or choosing not to engage in drama, your ability to say no sets the tone. Not just for how others treat you, but for how you treat yourself. A man with the strength to say no is a man a woman can't help but respect, because it means you don't just follow her lead, you live by your own. In a world that encourages emotional expression at every turn, many men are told to just open up more, as if vulnerability alone is the gateway to deeper connection. But here's the truth most won't say out loud: uncontrolled emotion doesn't build respect, it erodes it. Especially in the eyes of a woman who's looking for stability, leadership, and trust. Emotional self-control isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being grounded. It's knowing how to feel something deeply without letting it control your words, your actions, or your presence. When a man loses his cool at the slightest provocation, gets reactive, defensive, or overly dramatic, it creates emotional instability, and emotional instability is the opposite of what earns respect. It doesn't matter how good your intentions are. If you can't regulate your emotions, she won't feel safe around you, and safety, emotional, mental, and physical, is the foundation of feminine respect. A woman wants to know that when things go wrong, you're not going to spiral. She wants to know that when she's overwhelmed, you'll remain steady, that when life throws chaos your way, you'll take a breath and respond, not explode. This doesn't mean you never express how you feel. It means you choose asterisk, how asterisk and asterisk, when asterisk you express it with intentionality, not impulse. Being emotionally controlled doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more of one. It shows discipline, maturity, and inner strength. And those are traits that quietly command respect without you needing to raise your voice. A man who can stay calm in chaos, who can process his feelings without being consumed by them, becomes a pillar. And a pillar is someone a woman not only admires, but deeply respects. Time is the one resource you never get back, and how you treat it tells people everything they need to know about you. A man who values his time sets an unspoken boundary that instantly earns respect, especially from women. Why? Because it shows that you have direction, purpose, and standards. You're not just drifting, waiting for life to happen or for someone to give you permission to move. You're building something, and when you're building, you don't waste time on things or people that pull you off course. When a woman sees that your time is organized, protected, and driven by purpose, she instinctively understands that you're a man with priorities, that you don't drop everything for anyone, that your life isn't built around chasing her attention, but around chasing your mission. And paradoxically, that's what pulls real respect and attraction toward you, because while attention may come easily, respect is reserved for the man who doesn't hand himself out cheaply. This doesn't mean being rigid or selfish with your schedule. It means being intentional. You have goals, you have standards, and you don't sacrifice them just because someone wants your time on demand. Whether it's skipping out on distractions, limiting small talk, or even saying no to a date if it conflicts with something important, you're telling the world that your time matters. And when your time matters to you, it starts to matter to everyone around you. Women don't respect men who are always available. They respect men who are purpose-driven, who are going somewhere with or without them, because that's a man who has a life she might want to be a part of. Not because he needs her to complete it, but because he's already complete and moving forward either way. Disrespect doesn't have to be loud to be dangerous. Sometimes it shows up as subtle sarcasm, passive-aggressive jokes, flakiness, or small tests to see how much you'll tolerate. And here's the boundary that instantly earns a woman's respect. You don't tolerate it. Not once, not a little, not with a smile, just to keep things smooth. The moment you let disrespect slide, whether it's her showing up late with no explanation, talking down to you in front of others, or playing emotional games, you communicate that your standards are flexible. And the truth is, no one respects a man whose standards are negotiable. It's not about being controlling or overly sensitive, it's about having self-respect. A woman will test your boundaries, often unconsciously, to see if you really are who you say you are. And when she does, she's not looking for you to fight or argue. She's watching how calmly and directly you handle it. Do you call it out? Do you stay grounded? Or do you stay quiet and hope it goes away? Respect is earned by how you respond. When you clearly and confidently say, "That doesn't work for me," or "I don't play games," without being emotional, you show strength, you show backbone, and more importantly, you show that your peace, your values, and your time are not up for negotiation. That kind of presence is rare, and women feel it instantly. Being a nice guy isn't what earns long-term respect. Having a spine does. Drawing a firm line against disrespect doesn't push high quality women away, it draws them in. Because deep down, they don't want to lead the dynamic. They want to feel your strength and know they can trust you to hold the line, not just for them, but for yourself. A man who moves through life seeking approval will always find himself bending his words, his choices, even his identity, to fit into someone else's expectations, and no matter how charming or agreeable he tries to be, that energy never earns lasting respect. especially not from a woman. Why? Because the moment she senses that your actions are designed to impress her rather than express your purpose, she sees through it. It feels performative, weak, and uncertain. And that's not what she's drawn to. What earns her respect is a man who leads, not for applause, but from alignment with who he truly is. When you lead with purpose, everything about you communicates conviction. Your time, your tone, your decisions, they all say, "This is who I am, and this is where I'm going." You're not waiting for permission. You're not checking in to see if everyone approves. You're not shifting your values just to make someone more comfortable. And that kind of clarity is magnetic because it shows that you don't need validation to feel secure. Most men confuse being liked with being respected, but the truth is, trying to be liked often means abandoning what you stand for. Respect, on the other hand, comes from standing firm even when it costs you approval. Whether it's sticking to your principles in a disagreement, walking away from a situation that doesn't serve you, or refusing to compromise your integrity to impress someone. It's that quiet refusal to betray yourself that makes a woman pay attention. When you live by your mission rather than someone else's mood, you show strength. You lead from within, and that's the kind of man a woman doesn't just admire, she respects because she knows you're not here to follow. You're here to build. Boundaries are often misunderstood. People think they are about control, about drawing lines to keep others in check. But the truth is, boundaries have nothing to do with controlling others and everything to do with honoring yourself. That's what makes them powerful. That's what earns genuine respect. Because when you set a boundary, what you're really saying is, "This is what I will and won't allow in my life." Not because I'm trying to punish you, but because I respect myself. And here's the truth. Women can sense the difference instantly. They can feel when a boundary is reactive and insecure versus when it's grounded and self-assured. One comes from fear, the other comes from strength. When your boundaries are rooted in clarity and self-respect, you don't need to raise your voice or over-explain. You simply state them and stand by them calmly and consistently. That energy creates safety. It builds trust, and it earns respect without effort. If you think you have to dominate someone to gain respect, you've already lost it. Real respect isn't demanded, it's commanded by how you carry yourself. It's in the way you walk away from disrespect instead of arguing with it. It's in the way you hold your standards even when someone challenges them, and it's in the way you show up consistently, not for anyone else's approval, but because that's who you are. A woman doesn't respect the man who tries to control her. She respects the man who controls himself, his space, his energy, and his boundaries, because that man doesn't need to threaten, chase, or convince. He simply lives by his values, and anyone who doesn't align with them naturally falls away. That's not cold, that's clarity, and clarity is magnetic, because it shows a man who doesn't just know what he wants, but knows what he won't tolerate. Here's a strong, natural sounding conclusion to tie together your entire speech. 5 boundaries that instantly earn a woman's respect. At the end of the day, respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you embody. And the boundaries we've talked about aren't about being tough or difficult. They're about being clear, calm, and self-assured. They're about knowing who you are, what you value, and what you refuse to compromise, no matter who's in front of you. Saying no without guilt, keeping your emotions in check, protecting your time, not tolerating disrespect, leading from purpose, not approval, And most of all, setting boundaries from a place of self-respect, not control. These are the quiet signals that tell a woman and the world you're not easily moved, that you're not chasing validation, that you don't fold just to keep the peace. You lead yourself first. And that, more than charm, looks, or status, is what earns real respect, because it shows you respect yourself. And when you do that, the right people will naturally rise to meet you. You won't have to convince anyone of your value. They'll feel it. So hold the line, stand on principle, and remember, the boundaries you set today shape the man you become tomorrow. And that man, that's the one she respects.